Hi there, hello, and welcome. Welcome to this workshop to help you plan your writing for 2019. I'm Charlie from Urban Writers Retreat. Now, I've been helping writers to sit down and actually write since 2008. I started off doing one-day writing retreats in London to give writers time and space just away from the real world and all of the things that you have to get done and that take up your headspace so that you can actually sit down and write. Things have expanded, so we've now got retreats in London and Newcastle and residential retreats in Devon, including one in January, which I really love. It's such a great start to the year. Plus online courses, one of which, the Writer's Block Detox, is coming up in January, and I'll talk just briefly about that in a bit. And this, the annual planning process. Now, I'm going to be doing my plan in this, which is the brand new Writer's Diary. It's all soft, which I'm very excited about, apparently. So this is new. It's quite an exciting project for me. And a lot of you watching this will have one and be doing your process in the diary. Don't worry if you don't have one, you can still do the workshop. I'm going to be putting a PDF of just the planning process of this below, or to be quite honest, you can join in using pen and a paper and just write out the questions. Now, I've been making a PDF version of the planner for a few, the planning bit at the front of this diary for a few years. And it's a really lovely process, actually putting time into thinking deeply about what you really want to do, imagining it all and working through it all so that it feels like it's actually possible and you know how to get there. However, I have been known to put mine into one of my many piles of paper and then find it again in October and be like, oh yeah, that's what I was meant to do. That's depressing. I haven't done any of that. Now, in my working life, running Urban Writers Retreat, I make annual goals and I make shorter term goals as well, because which we will do in this process, breaking them down to say 3-month ones, which are a bit more manageable. And then I sit down every week and every month and I say, am I doing the things that I really want to do? Am I focusing on the important things rather than the urgent stuff that comes up, so that I don't run around like a headless chicken doing busy work and never actually progressing? And this is what I wanted for my writing. I wanted that same process, and that's why I made the diary. So it's got weekly intention setting and monthly reviews. So it's designed to always keep your focus on the writing. And the big benefit of having it in the diary rather than just on a bit of paper is that it's always there with you, and it's always encouraging you throughout the year to keep returning to writing. So that process is kind of all set up for you. Anyway, if you've got a diary, then really try and put that time aside at the start of each week and the start of each month to do that review process. If you don't have one, but you think it sounds cool, I'm going to put a link for the diaries below. And if I've still got any, they'll be up for sale. If you just want to do the planning process from this, that is cool. I hope it really helps. So into the workshop. Now, I really prefer to do these kind of things live so that I can chat to you guys and find out what everyone's doing, but it just hasn't worked out this time. And actually having it recorded means that you can do things like pause me. So if you need more time for any of the sections, or if you finish before I move on, then you can just pause me or whiz forward. And that might be useful in a minute, because what you might need for this is you need a few things. So your 2018 diary, if you've got one, possibly your online one if you use an online diary normally. This writing diary, obviously, if you've got one, print a PDF if you don't, or just some pen and paper. I would say that a pencil is a really good idea for a particular part of it. Perhaps particularly if you've got the physical copy of the diary. If you don't keep very much detail in your diary about writing, and I know maybe a lot of us don't, then maybe you want to gather your writing notebooks or just open your computer files so that you've got them to hand. So if you want to go and collect that stuff now, then just pause me and come back when you've got it. Okay, so really we are just going through the planning process, but I guess the point of doing it in a workshop with me is that I'm guiding you through it. To be honest, this is as much about putting the time and space aside for the planning as it is anything else. I mean, I know that otherwise it's really easy to think, oh yeah, okay, that diary, I'm going to get onto that soon, and before you know it, it's March. I've done it myself, plenty of time. So so that's why we're doing it. And it means that at the end of it, hopefully you're going to be really excited about 2019 and all the writing that you're going to do. So are you ready? In we go. You will need to give me just a moment while I set up my screen share. Okay. And here we are. Hopefully this is working for you all. So welcome to the planning workshop. What we're going to cover is a review of 2018, hence the bits and pieces that I suggested that you get. Then we're going to look at what you want. And by that, I mean what you really want, not what you feel like you should want. After that, we will do some goal setting once you know what you actually do want to be working on. Then there's a thing called the time machine. It's a really nice little technique to help you see how to get there. And from the information that you get from your time machine, you're going to make yourself a to-do and not to-do list for the year. And then what we're going to do is start breaking down your goals. So first of all, we are going to do a review of 2018. So what you want to do is just free write. Excuse me while I open my diary to the right page. And yeah, so just free write about how you felt about your writing last year. So things like what worked for you and what didn't. What were your habits like? What did you enjoy? What did you learn? Where did you feel stuck? What was frustrating? What can you celebrate having done? I mean, you know, were there any goals that you achieved last year that you're really happy about, or even really tiny ones? I think it's really worth celebrating the tiny things and the times that you came back to writing and overcame problems, that kind of stuff. But and, you know, also were there things that you perhaps didn't do that you really wanted to do? So we're going to take a few minutes to do this now. I'll probably give you about 10 minutes because I know that, you know, actually searching through your diaries might take a while. So I will be back shortly. Off you go. Okay, how are you doing with that? If you need a little bit more time, then that's fine. Just press pause now. But otherwise, we are going to move on to the next question, which is, what do you want? So this is a three-part question. The first bit, but we're going to do it all as one, and yeah, right in the sections in any order that you want, really, as things occur to you. What would you really, really love to write? What are the things that make your heart sing? What formats do you enjoy writing in? What do you find exciting? What story subjects? What ideas do you have that you've been longing to do? This is really about what lights you up. It's about your secret desires, the things, it's all very well. I think a lot of people we all feel like we should be really literary writers. But if what you really love reading is children's books or rom-coms, or, if you've got a deep yearning to write a paper on, I don't know, sourdough bread, then that's maybe what you should be doing. You don't have to have a reason for this. This is about things that you really want to do. So really kind of let rip here. The second section of this is, what would you like to do in your wider writing life? So this might be something like, you might think that you're not very good at editing and you'd like to take a course in editing. It might be about developing your routines and your habits, and how often you want to write, that kind of stuff. Or possibly you're at a stage where you have things that you have to do for your writing life that are not necessarily writing related. So professional business development, like hiring an editor, building a website, learning how to do internet marketing, all of that kind of thing, getting an agent. So that's the kind of thing that you would put in here. And then the third question is, what is your ultimate goal as a writer? Where do you want to be in 5 years' time, and why? What would your big dream be? And I also want you to answer, what does this mean to you? Why do you want this? Is it that you want a lifestyle that you think writing will give you? Is it that you want money? Is it that you want respect? Or is it more to do with your values? Is it that you really prize feeling creative and having a sense of freedom, and that writing gives you that? I think it's really important to understand why you do things, and to know this will help you set goals that are actually appropriate for what you want long term. So this should probably only take you 5 minutes. So I will give you 5 minutes for that, and then I will return. Okay, how are you doing with that? If you need a bit more time, just pause me now and keep free writing until you're done. If you need to use extra note pages, then go for it. I know that sometimes, it's really interesting keeping your answers to this and then looking in the next year at how things change. So sometimes my answers to these are huge, sometimes they're relatively small. And it's really interesting to see over the course of a couple of years whether things like the answer to the questions of what is your ultimate goal as a writer stays the same. I mean, I know that mine hasn't, and it's through this process of looking at my writing life and looking at what I enjoy and why, and where I want to place the importance, that I've kind of, I think I've got a much better understanding about what makes me happy and where I should and shouldn't put pressure on. So for some people, they might want to make money out of writing, and that's the primary aim. Whereas I think it's taken me a couple of years to realize that actually that is definitely not what I want to do. That I want to write for enjoyment instead. So all these things, it's really, really worth having, and it's worth keeping this stuff and having a look again next year. Now, the next thing to do is set your goals. So there's a particular format that I'm suggesting to set your goals. I'm suggesting that you set 1 to 3 goals. You can just have one goal. You are allowed to. You're not allowed to set 8 goals, because there's really a limit to the amount of things that you can focus on in your life. And I think it's very easy for us to get overwhelmed because we think that we should be doing all of this stuff, and then we end up not having time to do any of it because we can't focus properly on any one thing. There is a limit to what you can physically do in the 24 hours of the day that you've got. So don't push it too far. That's why I'm suggesting 1 to 3 goals. You can also do things like you can have one goal followed by another goal, followed by another goal. It might be that yours sort of run on from each other. That is fine. And there are two approaches to goal setting, I would say. The first one is to aim high. So you base your goal on it's connected to what you really ultimately want to do, and you aim quite high, but something that you can see doing, but that is going to take you towards a real dream place. The second way of setting goals really is to focus more on a goal that you absolutely know that you can do, so that it makes you feel really good, and then you want to keep going. So you basically look at your ultimate goal and then you dial back from there. Until you get something that you know is achievable and that you can keep going, even if things get a bit tough, which, at some point in the year they're going to. So to set these, just have a quick flick back through what you've just written about what you want in your writing life, why you want it. And the format that I have suggested is that you actually, you pick your goals, but then when you write them out, you start with your ultimate goal. So the examples that I've got in the diary are, I want to be a published nonfiction author. So that's starting with the 5 to 10 year goal. This year, I'm going to get a book deal. To do this, I'm going to research, write and edit my proposal and my chapter list. Then I'm going to research and approach the top 5 publishers in my field. So hopefully you can see how that works. This year I'm going to X is your actual goal, but putting the motivation behind it in front of it just kind of really helps you to remember why whenever it starts to get hard. And then the subsequent bits, the to do this, I'm going to, and then I'm going to do this, mean that you're starting to break down into the steps that you have to do to get there. So I'm going to give you another 5 minutes for this, and off you go. Okay, cool. Hopefully you have got 1 to 3 goals that really excite you, and that maybe feel a little bit hairy, scary, or they feel like ones that you know that you can smash and make yourself feel really great about writing. But it's all going to be stuff that's going to get you to that big goal of living that amazing creative writer's life. Um, so the next step is a sneaky little trick that I like to call the time machine. So look at your goals. And then I want you to take a deep breath, maybe shut your eyes, and imagine that it is the 31st of December 2019 already. You have achieved all of your goals for this year. You've done amazingly. You've had a fantastic year of writing. You've loved it. Um, you've got so much further than you ever really believed that you could. So imagine yourself in this, it's the present tense. You're imagining yourself into the future and you're looking back over 2019. Try and imagine it with as many senses as you can. So if you're wanting to publish a book this year, imagine yourself holding it. Imagine yourself looking back over that TEDx talk you did. Imagine remembering that sense of pride when you finish that course. And this is what you're going to free write on this time. So you're imagining putting yourself in your future shoes at the 31st of December 2019. And I want you to write down how you did it, how you achieved all your goals, what actually got you there. So what were your habits? How did you help yourself? How did you recover when things went badly or you lost that confidence? This is really important because the mental game of writing is so important to what we actually managed to get done. So how did you help yourself to get past blocks, to give yourself more confidence, to ignore the internet editor, all of that kind of stuff? Did you have to change the way that you think or feel? I've just noticed there's a spelling mistake in there. Really sorry about that. But did you have to change how you think or feel about writing in order to do all of these amazing things that you've done? And the same goes for your behavior. What did you have to change from the way that you were acting at the end of 2018 to how you're behaving now? What had to happen to make your goals feasible? So if you're not writing much at the moment, obviously that behavior is going to have to change. So this is a fairly quick brainstorm. I think we'll go for 3 or 4 minutes for that. But yeah, just basically you're telling yourself all of the really great things that you need to do to get yourself there. So off you go. Okay, that is 3 minutes done. Um, Now, if you need more time on this, again, just pause me and keep going, because I have to say, I mean, I know that this isn't necessarily part of a, oh, let's make a plan and break it down. But this, the time machine, and the next section, to do and what not to do, I think are really invaluable. They're really powerful. And these, when if you're ever struggling throughout the year, these are the bits that you need to come back to. If your inner editor is giving you chip and you haven't written anything for a month, look back at this section and the next section, and you will have given yourself advice about how to overcome it. If you find yourself with a problem during the year that that is not written down in here, add it to that section. Ask yourself, what do I need to do to overcome it, and add it to that. Yeah, I just think these two sections are really amazing, because yeah, you already know the solution to your problems, basically, and if you've got them there, then you can just read it and take heart from it and go, oh yeah, okay, I do know how to solve this. Which brings us on to do and not to do. Now, I didn't really have as much time, space as I wanted to explain this, so let me talk about it slightly more now. So you're going to look at the time machine brainstorm, and that will show you very quickly what it is that you're currently doing that is not helpful, and the ways that you're thinking about writing that are holding you back. And those things you can put in your not to do column. They are things that you should avoid. Any bad habits that you've got, things like waking up in the morning, looking at your phone first thing and then not, rather than writing, all of that stuff, put in there. And the to-dos are, it could be habits and attitudes that you can try and develop that are going to make a difference over the year. It could be things like, where do you like to write? Do you like to write alone in bed or in a cafe or with loud music? Do you like to write in daily bites or in large blocks? What makes it easier for you to write? Does taking a walk make it that easy for you? Setting a timer? Ending each session by writing a line from the next page? Anything that helps you to write, put in that column. You may find that there are sort of equivalent to-dos and not to-dos, and if there are, you can just draw a little arrow across so that you can see perhaps the habit or the tendency you have at the moment that is unhelpful and what you want to do instead. You can also put in here things like stuff that you struggle with, workarounds for the things that you struggle with. So, for example, if one of your problems that you've identified in things like the time machine is that you get home from work late and tired and hungry, well, you could, maybe you said in the time machine that you were going to write on Saturdays, or get a weekly takeaway or something. So you can put all of that stuff in the to-do as well. Anything that's going to support you in your writing this year. Again, this should be quite a quick one, so we're just going to go for 3 minutes on this. Okay, cool. So hopefully now you have a list of things that you know hurt your writing life and things that are going to support you, which is awesome. And so now we are going to move on and break down your goals. So you have got a chart with goals 1 to 3 down the side and the year split into quarters going across. The idea about this is, I mean, it's great setting goals by the year because we tend to overestimate how much we can get done in a day, but underestimate how much we can get done in a year or even in 3 months, to be honest. So it's really great being able to see the overall picture, but thinking of a big goal that's something that you can do in a year is a bit overwhelming to look at all at once. So that's why we are going to work in quarters. And then each quarter, you will break that down into month by month goals that take into account things like, you know, are you going on holiday in February? Are you going on a writing retreat in January, maybe? So you'll have lots of extra time to write then. So the idea isn't that the goals and the breakdown become kind of a stick to beat yourself with. It's always something that helps you and supports you, and you can change it at any point. That's really important. This is your tool. So this is why I suggested getting a pencil, actually, because what I would suggest is that you fill in a very, very broad brush, maybe just a couple of words, version of the later targets in the year for each goal. And then in pencil, so that can always change. And you can come back to that in late March and look at how much you've done and do the April to June targets properly in pen. You can do it either by going, okay, goal number 1 and going through the year, breaking it into 4, do it that way. Or you can go, okay, January to March, what do I want to do then? April to June, what do I want to do then? It doesn't matter which way you do it. What I would say is, yeah, focus much more on breaking down January to March into each month according to what you think is realistic. This, I mean, do it fairly quickly. It doesn't need to take a huge amount of time because, like I say, it is movable. And let's say 5 minutes for this. Yeah, I mean, the great thing about this is that you don't need to once you've done this chart, you don't need to worry about what's coming next. You can trust your plan. You can trust that it's sensible and just throw everything that you've got at this month and not even think about, oh my goodness, but I haven't, you know, oh, I don't know what agent I want to submit to yet. It's fine. That's in my plan for June. I don't need to think about that yet. So that's where we're trying to get you to, is to a point where everything feels manageable and the amount that you've got to do this month, next month, is manageable. So take a few minutes to fill this in, and, you know, remember that if your goals kind of follow on from each other, you might have, you know, goal 2 might not start till July, in which case, you know, you can either fill it in now or you can just leave it and do it when you get to that point. So 5 minutes, go. Okay. Depending on how much detail you're going into, I don't know whether you're going to need a little bit more time on this. If you do, you can either listen to me burble in the background or pause it. I would recommend trying to finish this now rather than thinking, oh, I'll stop now and finish it later, because, you know, it's one of those things that never happens. And yeah, that is the end. So let me come back to you. Hey, so I really hope that you just saw the screen share the whole time, that you didn't have a little picture of me in the corner, because you would have seen me dashing in and out and with my head in my hands when I realized how much I was waffling during that and things like that. Oh well. And also reading so this is my plan for the year, which I did a couple of months ago while I was reviewing the planning process. And I've just found a goal that I had for myself for December, which I haven't actually got around to doing. I'd forgotten that I had it, which is why I needed this diary to be able to keep everything in one place. So next year, I will have the ability to keep on top of all this stuff. So guys, if you are happily writing and you're excited about the next year and you know where you're going, then you're set. I really hope this has helped you and enjoy it. If you're in a position where you're trying to get back to writing and you've been finding it a bit of a struggle, maybe you feel like you've just lost your mojo a bit, you don't have any ideas, it's hard to start, anything like that, then I have something coming up that might help you. It's called the Writer's Book Detox. And it's basically a 4-week online adventure to get you back into writing. It's about falling back in love with writing and about making it not scary, because I know that if you stop writing, it becomes scary quite quickly and it becomes something that you avoid quite quickly. So we're going to start on Monday, the 7th of January. And basically think of this as Couch to 5K for writing. So there's no point in beating yourself up about how much you're not writing any more than there is about how much you're not running. None of that kind of stuff helps. The thing to do is to start taking really small, tiny steps and to be kind to yourself and give yourself a chance to get back into it. And that's kind of what I guide you through. So I'm here as, I guess, like your big sister or a shepherd to encourage people. And I do that through emails, daily writing prompts that come into your inbox. There are exercises that help you do things like build up your confidence, mine for inspiration. So look for things that you've done before that you want to continue with, develop your ideas. There will be a live video call with me, hopefully actually live this time. And so week by week, it goes from starting you off with writing really, really gently and timed verse. So it's literally only 5 minutes to start with, and finding times when you can write, looking at why you want to write. And then as you get a little bit more confidence, you get more enthusiastic, we will look at what your writing dreams are and trying to make things a bit more manageable. Go through and find all of your forgotten ideas. That's really, really exciting to do. And then in the 3rd week, you move on to write, you're continually writing a little bit each day, but you'll sort of start circling back and looking at ideas in more depth, maybe developing story ideas. And then week 4 is quite cool because it's choose your own adventure. So you can continue free writing, just kind of, splurging whatever comes to mind on a prompt, or you can write a complete short story in the week, or you can do mini short stories every day. And that's the stage where you really kind of start to feel like you're making progress. And also I will encourage people to make their own prompts and work out the habits, almost like we've done here, that will help them keep going after the detox. So if that sounds like something that would help you, I'll put the link below and you can just check out the website and see what you think about it. Talking about developing your own prompts, so those of you who have got the diary, the resources that I put in it were as broad as I could make them, and really focused on process, because I wanted it to work for different kinds of writers. But there were certain things that I felt that it was missing that I would have liked. So there are some free downloads, which will be below this video. So you've got things like a submissions tracker for competitions, one for agent queries, NaNoWriMo trackers. There's a visual one and two for depending on how you want to do it. What else is there? There's a reading list. There's books that you've borrowed or lent. All these kind of useful things that you can just print off and stick into the notes pages at the back if they are appropriate to you. So have a look at those. And yeah, I hope that you're feeling really excited about the year coming up and about all the things that you're going to write. Just feel free to send me messages, emails, hello@urbanwritersretreat.co.uk. Let me know how things are going for you. And yeah, happy 2019.